What's good, y'all? We back with another video, man. And today, I will be reviewing the Mr. McMahon series. Now, yes, I have watched all 6 episodes of Mr. McMahon Netflix series. And to give my honest opinions about it, it really didn't go over any new information that we already haven't heard of over the past years, It was a good series. I enjoyed watching it because it's about something that I enjoy watching. So I enjoyed watching the series. But if I'm being honest, we didn't really get any much new information. But I do have a rundown of what happened throughout this series. So episode 1, which was titled Junior. Episode 1 was pretty much, gave us a look at how WWE was prior, to Vince McMahon taking over the company. And, his early life as a teenager, how he met Linda McMahon. And, I didn't know this. I did not know this at first, but Vince Sr. was originally supposed to sell the company to Gorilla Monsoon, but eventually that never happened. And, the company got sold to his son, Vince McMahon. Talks about how he would go into the territories and then basically take their talents. Guys like Bret Hart, Andre the Giant, Greg Valentine, Roddy Piper, Junkyard Dog, Tony Atlas, and the list goes on and on. Tony Atlas, by the way, funny as hell throughout this whole entire series. Shout out Tony Atlas. This first episode also goes over the rise of Hulk Hogan and how it led to the first WrestleMania. So yeah, that episode was, pretty solid. Dave Meltzer made an appearance in this series. I was surprised. I did not know Dave Meltzer was supposed to be in this series. Now, maybe some of you all knew. I did not know Dave Meltzer was going to be in this series. So that was a pretty, surprise me. So episode 2 mentions WrestleMania 3 with Hogan and Andre as the main event. I didn't know that at the time Andre, he was out of the business. He wasn't wrestling. Vince pretty much convinced Andre to come back. So episode 2 pretty much mentions WrestleMania 3 with Hogan and Andre as the main event, and I didn't know this, but at the time Andre was out of the business. He was not competing. He wasn't wrestling at the moment, and it pretty much took Vince McMahon to go on set at a movie he was filming and convince him to come back to face Hogan at WrestleMania 3. So yeah, a lot of Hogan in this episode. This also talks about how Sergeant Slaughter and Hogan, that angle got real heat with fans in other countries. The steroid trial that happened as well. It was a big talking point in this series and also especially in this episode. Hogan went on to the Arsenio Hall show and pretty much was capping about him using steroids. Because Vince McMahon literally told Hogan to don't lie. Just go up there, go on an Arsenio Hall show and come clean. But Hulk Hogan still went up there and capped his ass off. Similar to what Hulk Hogan does today. But I digress. Phil Mushnick of the New York Post, who was a well-known reporter at the time, tried to expose the business. He was asking wrestlers, like, is this real? He was going up to wrestlers asking them, is this real? And then Phil Mushnick got slapped the taste out of it, got slapped like hell. And I honestly feel like that was deservingly so. Like, why are you coming up to wrestlers asking them if the shit is real or not? Like, that you're just trying to expose the business at that point, bro. It also mentions the Jimmy Snuka situation where him and his girl got into an argument in a hotel room, and she fell and hit her head and died. But it was investigated as a homicide, but no charges were filed. No charges were filed, as there was a lot of speculation that Vince McMahon had something to do with this. Vince, you know what I'm saying, there's a real possibility that Vince covered that up, because at the time, Jimmy Snuka was one of WWF's top guys, you know, so Jimmy Hart served absolutely no real purpose in this series. He was just trying to be cautious. Bless Jimmy Hart's heart, you know what I'm saying. He wasn't trying to cause any no conflict. So it is what it is. Rita Marie, also in this episode, who was the first ever female referee in WWF, came out and said that she was forced into activities by Vince. Said that she said when she said no, he got angry and started ripping off her jeans, pulling her on top of him. She claimed that Vince said that, and I'm saying this verbatim. So if I wanted to have a $1 million company, she claimed that Vince said this, and I'm going to say this verbatim. If I wanted to have a $1 million a year contract, I had to satisfy him, and if I didn't satisfy him, I was blackballed. So hey, man, that's insane. That's an insane claim. Vince claims that it was consensual and sued her shortly after Hogan left the WWF for WCW. So, you know what I'm saying, that episode 2, we're now going to transition to episode 3. But before we get to episode 3, Vince withdrew his defamation lawsuit against Rita and Geraldo Rivera. But in 2023, during a temporary lift to the statute of limitations for sexual assault victims, Vince paid a multi-million-dollar settlement to Rita. So I don't know that he still paid her off. I don't know if her allegations are true or not. I don't know, but we're going to continue to episode 3. This is pretty much talking about Randy Richter. And, you know, I was pretty informed about this because I really didn't know much about this story. So, pretty much talking about Randy Richter, WWF Women's Champion in 1985. She basically didn't want to drop the belt, so Vince screwed her out of the title. So this was like one of the original screw jobs. It was a fast count pin, even though she still kicked out. The ref still counted 3. This episode further dives into Hogan leaving WWF and how it led to WCW versus WWF Monday Night Wars. It talks about the curtain call between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, and Razor Ramon, and how Triple H was punished for it because he was originally supposed to win that year's King of the Ring, but it never happened. Also mentions the Montreal Screwjob and how Bret Hart punched Vince McMahon backstage, knocking him out. Triple H and HBK and Vince was all on a call before this happened. Vince basically just told them that Bret doesn't want to drop the title, so Triple H said, fuck that, do it for him. So that led to the Montreal Screwjob, and we've seen footage of Vince backstage after Bret Hart punched him. This man's wobbling, got his hand over his eye, and Bret Hart, I'm pretty sure Bret Hart got a good ass, clean ass shot in. And, you know, a lot of people don't like Bret Hart, bro, but I like Bret Hart. Bret Hart keeps it real, man. Bret Hart just keeps shit real. A lot of people think that he comes off as bitter. But hey, man, Bret Hart really, in my opinion, just a real dude, bro. He's just a real guy. He doesn't really fake much things. He comes off as a real individual, so you gotta respect it. And the fact that he punched Vince McMahon and still left and went to WCW. I ain't gonna lie though, that's gotta be some of the most hardest shit of all time. Like that's some gangster shit. For you punch your own boss, even though you got screwed out of the title, you punched him backstage, left the company, went to WCW, still getting paid millions. Even though WCW died shortly after, but you know what I'm saying. That at the moment, you had to, you know what I'm saying. I know that had to feel good. At least, I know that had to feel good. Not many people got the opportunity to punch Vince McMahon. Bret Hart had that opportunity. So it was Triple H that was like, screw him out of the title. That was basically like, this is what I'm hearing. Triple H said that, this is literally what he said. He said, fuck it, do it for him. So was Triple H the one that told Vince or gave Vince the idea of just screwing Bret out of the title? Hey, I don't really know, man. But episode 4, talking about the birth of the Attitude Era, his feud with Austin, how the birth of the on-screen Mr. McMahon character happened. Mr. McMahon, that character is one of the greatest characters of all time. One of the best heels ever. No matter how you feel about him, personally, that character was amazing. Mentions a little bit of ECW. Mentions the tragedy of Owen Hart. Vince said that they were in a blackout, and the live audience didn't really see it. Shows the infamous clip where Jim Ross had to pretty much announce that Owen Hart died on television. Vince says that the audience seen Owen's death. Vince says that if the audience had seen Owen's death, that he would have stopped the show, no doubt. And I have to say something about that. I don't agree with that at all. Even if the crowd seen him fall, or if they didn't see him fall, still, I mean, the man literally died in front of thousands of people, bro. Thousands of individuals. Not only that, but his blood was still splattered on the mat. Literally. His blood was still splattered on the fucking mat, bro. Wrestlers had to compete with Owen Hart, a man that literally just died. His blood is a pool of blood on the fucking mat, and they are literally wrestling next to it. Look, the wrestlers are literally looking at the blood of Owen Hart as they're competing. They showed a clip where Jeff Jarrett was cutting a promo on Val Venus. It was Deborah, and then he was interviewed by Kevin Kelly, and you could see the look on Jeff Jarrett's face. I mean, it just looked like he just seen a fucking ghost. It literally looks like he's seen a ghost, man. Before he even cut a promo on Val Venus, he started it off with pretty much saying that he hopes that Owen Hart is doing okay. He could barely get the words out of his mouth. At the time, I believe that Owen Hart was already dead at that point. But you could also hear the chaos, some of the chaos in the background as they was doing. I don't know what the hell, but you could hear the chaos in the background as Jeff Jarrett is trying his best to cut this promo out. That he just literally seen his tag team partner. Let's not forget, Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart were tag team partners shortly before this happened. Literally the same year they were tag team partners. I believe they won the tag team titles. He literally is cutting a promo like minutes after his former tag team partner is dead, bro. In the middle of the ring. Like, imagine being in Jeff Jarrett's shoes at that moment. Cutting a live promo. And you just seen this man fall. Like, what? And they also said that wait. Bret Hart said that he heard from some of the wrestlers that night that they wielded his dead brother past people backstage and basically pushed the other wrestlers, told them to go, go, go. The show must go on. You know what I'm saying? You're next. Bret then says in an older interview that if it was Shane McMahon splatter in the ring, that the show wouldn't go on. But Vince rebutted and said this. Vince said, even if it was Vince himself that fell at the show that night, the show would have went on. Now, do I believe that's true? Part of me believes that that's true. Part of me believes that Vince is that fucking crazy that he will probably want the show go on after he died. I mean, let's not forget, this man had him, and this also was in the series. Vince had himself explode. He literally had a storyline of him dying on national television. So part of me, like, I'm thinking about that. Say if it was Vince McMahon that night that died, the show, I don't know, like, part of me thinks that he's just crazy enough to have the show still going on. Like, it's just the business part of the business aspect, which was a huge thing in this series, the business mind of Vince McMahon and how he conducts his business. I would just feel like that he was just so fucking focused on and dead set on making his business the best. Like, maybe it doesn't matter who died that night, the show would have gone on. But let me see. Bret Hart also mentioned that he thought that they had murdered Owen to get back at him, which is it's still a conspiracy that I hear people saying today. Like, people have brought this up that maybe Owen Hart's death wasn't necessarily an accident. Maybe it was a setup by Vince to get back at Bret Hart for all the shit that Bret Hart calls Vince McMahon and all, you know what I'm saying, the shit that Bret Hart was saying about Vince at the time. Because let's not forget that Vince and Bret was not on good terms at all. Like, the Harts alone, the Hart family and Vince was not on good terms at all. And the only Hart that was in WWF at the time was Owen Hart. I believe Owen, he was still on the contract. I think he was thinking about leaving and going to WCW, but he resigned to WWF, and he was basically stuck in WWF while the rest of the Hart family left. So, like, that's a real conspiracy. Like, I don't know, like, cause at this point, like, I'm not saying that, I'm not jumping on any side, I'm not making any claims here, but at this point, bro, how the world is today and all this shit, all the things that we're just now hearing about that we've been really knowing over the past couple of years, that's true. Bro, anything could be real. Like, anything's a possibility at this point. But let's continue, though. Let's continue. Owen's wife, Martha Hart, filed a wrongful death lawsuit, but I think that lawsuit, it got closed, or I don't know what happened with that lawsuit. I forgot. But I would say this though, Paul Heyman's commentary throughout this series was amazing. I fucking love commentary. I mean, Paul Heyman's commentary this series was amazing, bro. I just love Paul Heyman. Anytime he's on the mic, anytime he's in a documentary series, he's a great talker. Like, Paul Heyman is just one of the best of all time, bro. He was great this series. Episode 5 pretty much did a episode 5 pretty much talked about how Vince did a Playboy interview about his upbringing, going through some of the figure. Episode 5 pretty much was talking about how Vince did a Playboy interview about his upbringing, him going through physical abuse from his father and sexual abuse from his mother. Talks about him buying WCW and transitioning into Ruthless Aggression era, the rise of John Cena, the power struggle between Vince and Shane, and how Shane actually wanted to buy the UFC in the early 2000s, but it never happened. Imagine Shane McMahon purchasing the UFC, bro. Like, I really don't. Where would the UFC be right now if Shane McMahon purchased it? And like, because he was originally supposed to buy the UFC, and I think they were supposed to do like a merger between the UFC and WWE at the time, but eventually the shit still happened anyway. Because episode 6 talks about the Benoit tragedy and how some wrestlers believe it was CTE, some didn't. I know Stone Cold made a comment and said he didn't really believe in CTE. Vince said that Chris went nuts. WWE then transitioned to the PG era, and then not long after, they sold the company to Endeavor and TKO. Talks briefly about the Janelle Grant's allegation, but after those allegations went public, Vince left the set completely, chair empty, and it said that ongoing investigations are still continuing. So that's pretty much like the entire series. Like I said, we really didn't get much new information. It basically just went down the complete iceberg of Vince McMahon and his history with WWE and his history outside WWE. But like I said, though, I enjoyed the series. And let me know y'all thoughts in the comments down below if y'all have watched the series or not. And until next time, and that was pretty much the entire series and what the series was talking about. It basically just went down a complete iceberg of all the shit that Vince McMahon has done in the past, his history with WWE, and his history outside of WWE. So, yeah, man, just basically went down a iceberg and his history. Bro, all right, we do that. So, yeah, man, this series was basically a complete iceberg. So yeah, man, this series was basically just went down the iceberg of Vince McMahon and his history with WWE and outside of WWE with other wrestlers and other females and the shit that he's done. But most of the things that were talked about in this series, like, we already knew. So if I were to give this series a rating out of 10, I would give it I'll say this was a 8 out of 10. It was an 8 out of 10 series. I feel like it could have been a lot better if they would have got into the nitty gritties of the situations, but you can only do so much, you know what I'm saying? Because he left during the set, so it is what it is. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And also, let me know y'all thoughts on the Mr. McMahon series on Netflix. Until next time, want y'all to stay safe, stay cool. I'm going to see y'all later, man. Peace.